Yo, what is up, guys? All right, got a quick Mythic Plus tier list for you guys. I'm going to go through tank, DPS, and healers. I played every single spec, every single role. I primarily tank, though. I love all the roles. They're fantastic, super fun. So I'm going to make a tier list for you guys about my opinion, what I think is doing really well right now in S tier, and what I think is not doing so well and maybe needs some balancing to change that around. It's also going to take into account the recent hotfixes. We got some nerfs coming out to some classes, a couple buffs for some other ones. So it might play into why I rank some things higher and why I rank some things lower. But we're going to get into it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And let me know what you guys think, too, in the comments below. Yeah, of where these stand. If you agree with me, if you don't, I definitely want to hear it. Seriously, I'll probably be making more tier lists in the future. And definitely for Raid, maybe for PvP, too. We'll see. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so let's start with the meta tank at the moment. I think it's going to be Prot Warrior. I know it's going to be Prot Warrior. They've got 2 or 3 nerfs, and they're still insane. I mean, literally. The highest keys that are being done right now is from Prot Warrior. And they're not too hard to pick up, honestly. You might see some challenges later on if you're spinning your rage the wrong way, but really, you're basically invulnerable if you're spinning it right, you know, with the ignore pain. It's insane. Most Prot Warriors are running through in not even in defensive stance because they don't need to, because they literally have that much damage mitigation. It's insane. So they're definitely S tier. Let's grab Blood DK. I think Blood DK is A tier for sure, high A. They're fantastic. It's what I'm maining right now. Their survivability is still really good. It's not what it was in Shadowlands, obviously, because we were like meta. I mean, we could solo content basically all the time. But you can still solo some stuff. You know, I'm soloing some bosses, mobs, when people are dying. Help stay alive. A lot of damage mitigation. They just do a fantastic job. Their self heals. Your healers, I have heard that you know, it's pretty stressful when they start healing a Blood DK because you can heal yourself basically back to full with, you know, a couple death strikes. But still a super fun class to play. I love it. Love their aesthetic. They're just a blast. They're in a really good spot right now. Vengeance Demon Hunter. I think that they are right there with Blood DK. They might even be S tier. Maybe they're slightly above Blood DK. They're in a really good spot. They do a ton of damage mitigation. Their DPS is insane. Their healing is insane. Their mobility is insane. There's just so many positives that they bring to your group that it's just kind of wild. You know, even their Sigil of Silence, you know, you're interrupting a full group of mobs. If you do that right, you can do some crazy pulls with them. So I think they're right along with Blood DK, maybe slightly ahead for right now. But we could see that change for sure. Let's do Guardian Druid. I think Guardian Druid is actually, I would say B tier, or even low A. No, I'm gonna go B. I'm gonna go high B. I think they're a really good class. I think they received some nerfs recently, which hurt them a little bit, but really not that much. All these tanks are very viable with where they're at the moment. Guardian Druid brings a ton of mobility for your group, Stampeding Roar, utility for your group. You can take a ton of damage. You've got a lot of defensives you can use when you need them. I think they're a ton of fun, honestly. I just, you know, I got my alt 1 to 70 and we pushing some Mythic Plus and raid with him. I really think they're a ton of fun. If they're high B, maybe low A. We'll kind of see if I adjust here at the end see if I put them all higher. Prot Paladin. I think Prot Paladins are nasty right now. I don't know if you guys have seen, but their damage is insane. I mean, they will grab aggro from anybody. I don't care what other tank is doing damage or anything like that. They will snap aggro when they pop wings, and I mean, they'll get it to them. It's insane. They're tons of fun. Their silencing is incredible still. Even with Avenger Shield not generating holy power, I don't think you need it anymore. I really don't think you need it. Like, you're generating holy power all the time. You're getting off heals on everybody that needs help, or the healer's struggling or anything like that. And especially with all the damage we have coming into all the Mythic Plus dungeons, and the abilities that you need to interrupt. I think honestly, Prot Paladin is insane. I think it's going to be the best pug tank, honestly. I mean, other than probably Prot Warrior, just because they're OP as heck right now. But if there's some tuning or bouncing that comes down, man, I think Prot Paladin takes the cake. They are so freaking good. Really helpful, really fun to play and engaging. I like their aesthetic a lot. They're solid tank. Let's go Brewmaster. I think Brewmaster is probably high C or low B. I'll put them low B. I think they're still very viable. You know, you have top tanks right now that are still playing Brewmaster, and they're smashing keys with them. They're doing a fantastic job. I think they just don't quite bring the same utility as these other tanks or damage mitigation. Honestly, they're the squishiest tank. Even with they were doing insane damage, they nerfed that a little bit. They're still doing really good damage, 100%, but I don't think they're the same level as these other tanks. At least not quite. For DPS, I'm going to go through this really quickly, not break down why every class I think is doing really well, but this is going to take into account the new tuning that just happened and how the highest keys completed and base my opinion, you know. So let's get through it. Let's start with a little bit of S tier. So let's go have a Demon Hunter. They're in a really good spot. Obviously, they're not quite to a tier above S now. They were for a while there, but they got some nerfs. They're still in a fantastic spot. They were brought in the highest key that's been completed, which I think is a plus 22 at the time we're recording this. They're really good. Uncapped AoE, great single target, great AoE, great mobility. They're just bringing so much for the team. It's kind of insane. Windwalker Monk, I think they're in a really good spot. They are receiving a 3% nerf overall, but I still think they're going to be smacking kids in dungeons. They're just so good. Whether that's, you know, AoE, single target. They used to have an issue with single target. They no longer do. They're S tier, 100%. Let's go with Shamans. I think that they are A tier. Both the specs are. I think they're in a great position right now. They have good utility, pretty good mobility, great single target, great AoE. They have fast interrupts, which I think is incredibly important in these dungeons. There's so many things interrupt. If you guys hadn't already noticed, it's kind of insane how much you need to. So I think that that's super viable. Also, why I think that Windwalker, Monk, and Havoc Demon Hunter are in the top as well. And just for keys completed, they're doing a really good job. We are seeing that Enhance is completing higher keys than Elemental right now, but that might change in the future, especially with the 3% nerf to Enhance. But I don't know. Right now, I think that they're solid A tier. Let's go through Warrior now. Fury Warrior is A tier. Good single target, good AoE, pretty damn tanky. They're in a great position. Arms is, I think, B now. They're going to receive some buffs here with this recent tuning. So I think we will see a rise. But what I think the problem is, for one, they have great interrupts, which is awesome. But the problem is, if you're bringing a warrior, you're bringing a protection warrior. Unless we see some more nerfs or anything like that, then we're not gonna see that. Hi, Nami. My kitten is freaking out right now. So you're gonna see a prot warrior. That's what we're gonna bring. You know what I mean? I think that's why Fury is an A and Arms is a B. But I think we might see this rise up a little bit, maybe a little closer to Fury Warrior, which I hope to see, honestly. Let's go through Rogues next. One sec, my cat is freaking out. I think Outlaw Rogue is S tier. I think they're in a great position. All Rogue specs are receiving a 3% nerf, but I think the utility that Rogues bring is just insane. The highest keys completed was with an Outlaw Rogue. An Outlaw Rogue for that. Sorry, my cat just freaking out right now. So Outlaw Rogue brings great utility, great damage. Even with capped AoE, they're still in a fantastic spot. They're going to be brought in the highest keys. They already are. I think they're going to be brought on higher keys for the rest of the season, unless we see some crazy changes. Sub Rogue, I think they're A tier, and Assassination is B. Problem with Assassination Rogue is you have to kind of spec into good AoE or good single target. Not both. I think Sub brings a little bit more of both. Still brings same utility as Rogue. I just don't think they're the level Outlaw is, for sure. Let's go through Feral Druid and Balance. I think Balance is actually higher than Feral now. But they both bring great AoE, great single target, Stampeding Roar, good utility. They're pretty tanky. I think they're in a really good spot. I think Feral Druid really shines with if you don't have a group with fast interrupts. Interrupts is huge. Obviously with Balance Druid you can beam. You know, you group up, silence a bunch of mobs all together, but that's kind of all you have on 45-second minute cooldown. So I think that's a big thing. But Feral Druid has fast interrupts, great mobility for every encounter. So if you need that, you'd probably bring that. If you don't need fast interrupts, you bring in, you know, Windwalker, Monk, Outlaw Rogue, Havoc Demon Hunter, maybe bring a Balanced Druid instead. Might be better, but they're in a good spot. Let's get through Hunters. I think Hunter is A tier. Marksmanship Hunter is A tier, mid A tier. They did receive a 3% nerf, but they're completing like plus 21, plus 20 keys right now, maybe even plus 22 at the time I'm recording this. They're in a really good spot. Even with the nerf, I think they're going to be sitting fantastic. I think they are better than Beast Mastery and Survival, definitely better than Survival right now. The great utility, they're Hunter. You know, having Turtles survive mechanics if you know you're going to die. I got some more shit buttons, freezing traps for certain mobs. It's just, they're really good. Beastmaster, I think, is B. Good single target, good AoE, but just not quite to the level of marksmanship. For sure. Survival, I think, is D tier still. I think they need some tuning, changes to happen or something to be reworked. They are not reigning supreme like they were in Shadowlands, that's for sure. I think they're still fun. I think every DPS, every tank healing spec can probably do plus 15 keys and up. Plus 15 keys at least for KSM. But for this, I think that Survival needs some love, for sure. So let's go DKs. Frost DK I think is B. I think that they are in a good spot. I think they do get AoE. I think they could do single target, just not quite to the level of Unholy. And Unholy just received some buffs like crazy. But Frost DK does a great job. Good fast burst cooldowns, windows. Yeah, good single target, good AoE. Unholy DK though, I think they're S tier. I don't think they were. I think they were A tier, high B, low A. But right now, I think they're S tier. I think they're in a fantastic spot, especially with the buffs that are happening. They do fantastic single target, fantastic AoE. They're tanky as shit. Anti-magic shield, you know, Frost DK has as well. But I think they're fun as shit. And the grips for both of these guys that they bring is super helpful in some dungeons. So I think that that's where they stand. I think S tier Unholy's maybe not quite there, but they're gonna be here after these buffs. So S tier for sure. Devastation Evoker, I'm gonna put C tier. I don't think they bring the same. We really saw them shine, you know, obviously in pre-patch. In the beginning, before Season 1 started with just Mythic Dungeons, they were doing pretty well. But I think they start to fall off. I don't think they bring the same utility that a lot of other groups bring. They have good mobility, good, decent damage. I don't think they're not bad. I just think they need some love or some changes to their talents to do a little bit better. Maybe a little B, high C. Arcane Mage, let's go through mages now. Arcane is S tier. They're being brought in some higher keys, plus 20, plus 21, plus 20 keys. Great single target, great AoE. Utility, there's so much CCing that you have with a mage, it's kind of insane. But they're just in a really good spot. Arcane shines above the other two for sure. I think Frost is B. You got slows, you got utility CCs, you bring all those things, just not quite to the same damage profile as Arcane, but they are receiving a little bit of buff, so we could see this rise up maybe. I'm thinking this is maybe mid high B, and then I think actually Fire Mage is low B. Hear me out before you think I'm a silly goose, but I am. I can't believe it's just a silly goose. Anyways, Fire Mage, they're receiving some buffs. Obviously, they're not in a good spot. They've been in D tier for sure. I think they're high C, low B right now. If these changes, I think that they'll definitely stay there. Could even see them rise up even farther. Again, they're bringing the same utility. They're bringing good, good AoE, I think. Good single target. Obviously, if you have a fire mage that knows what they're doing, and you have a tank that's playing around those, you know, combust windows and their cooldowns, they do a really good job. But I don't think they're to the level of Arcane Mage, and I don't think they're quite to where Frost Mage is with the slows and everything. So definitely plays into it. Let's hit Shadow Priest next. I think Shadow Priest is A tier. They're being brought some plus 20 keys. They're in a really good spot. Good single target, good AoE. Don't bring the same kind of utility I think as some other classes bring. Not as fast interrupts, which plays into that. But they're doing a great job. Good spot. Super fun. I've heard that they're fantastic to play. I have not played them since Dragonflight came out, but I want to. I've heard that they're super fun. They received some change in their talent, so I think that helps out a lot. Probably why we're seeing more of them and why we're seeing them in some higher keys, because I know they needed some love for a long time. They were in a rough spot there. Demonology, I think, is probably, I think, either high A. I'm gonna say S tier. I'm gonna say low S tier. You know, Warlock Gakes, Health Stones, they're tanky. They can tank their mechanics. Their damage is really good. Single target AoE, super fun. They're a blast to play. Destruction, I think we're gonna see. I think we're seeing probably high B, low A. They're in a good spot. Again, you're still bringing Gateway, you're bringing Hellstones, you're tanky, not quite as tanky as Demonology. But I think if you're going to bring a Warlock, you're going to bring Demonology over you will Destruction, you know? For sure. Affliction, I'm actually going to put above, I don't know, they're right there in C. I think the guys are both maybe high C. You can still play with them. They are receiving some buffs, some pretty significant buffs. We could see this change. I think they're at C tier right now, but later on in the season, we may be CB, low A, I don't know. But right now, C for sure. They're just not as good as kind of hope they would be. You know, their single target is lacking for sure. If you have an Affliction Warlock knows what they're doing, then you definitely can tell the difference, but they're just lacking some damage of what the other Warlocks are. But you still have Hellstone, still have Gateway, so that's why they're in C, not in D tier. Ret Paladin, man, I think that they are I think they're low A, man. I think they bring a ton of damage inside their windows, you know, their wing windows. They do a ton of damage, good single target, good AoE. They pop, they'll grab snap aggro still. Pretty fun to play. Didn't receive, obviously, a lot of talent changes, as you guys know, if you play Ret Paladin, but they're in a good spot. For healers, Okay, so let's start with the bottom here. We got Disc Priest. I think they're in C tier. No, they're probably B tier here. Holy Priest is in A. I think Holy Priest just brings more than Disc Priest. I think their healing is better. Group healing, they have more to that they're bringing to the table. I think Disc Priest needs some love before we see them rise up. I think Resto Shaman is C tier. They need some buffs or something. They're not doing near as much as the other healers are bringing. Not the same utility. You know, I do think that an argument can be brought to that they bring some great utility for the tank. Fast interrupts. I mean, that's really good as well. Obviously, get some good defensives, but I don't think that they're to the level of Disc Priest, and I don't think Disc Priest is in a fantastic spot. Or you know, maybe this is. I don't know. I think it's probably yes here. I think hopefully we'll see some changes. I think they are receiving some buffs, so maybe this might raise them up to a low B. But right now, I think they're C. Resto Druid, I think, is the highest healer right now. I think that they're in a fantastic spot. They're about to get some reworks, honestly. I think which is going to be a positive change, and they're receiving some buffs. They're in a they're just doing so good. They bring so much to the table. Great mobility, fantastic healing over time. Their hots are insane. I mean, their healing per second is wild. They're great in every form of content, and they're fun as shit to play, easy to pick up. Preservation Evoker, I think that they're high A tier. They're right there with Resto Druids. I just think Resto Druids are bringing a little bit more. I think the highest key completed is actually a Preservation Evoker. Maybe they could be right around the same, but I think with the buffs here we're seeing with Resto Druid, I think they're going to rise up here a little bit. Either way, I think they're both around the same. I'd say Resto Druid is shining more than Preservation Evoker right now. I'm curious to see. I'm going to be doing some keys with Preservation here soon, some higher keys than some Resto Druid. So I want to see how they feel. But from what I've heard, they're both easy to pick up, easy to play. They do a great job moving around with the encounters we have to for the bosses and some of the mobs. They're just in a good spot. Holy Paladin, I think, is A tier. 100%. I know a lot of people don't like playstyle with being in combat, you know, meleeing people, healing, all that stuff. I think it's fun as shit. It's a blast to me. I know they kind of want the caster to stay out of the fight. I think there is a build for that now. It's just not as viable. But I think they're in a really good spot. They've completing, I think, plus 20, plus 21 keys or something like that. So fantastic. Not quite to the level of Preservation and Resto Druid, but great spot. Mistweaver, I actually think is right there with Holy Priest. They're in a great spot. Good group healing, good single target healing, fantastic mobility, great spot. Just don't think they quite bring what the Holy Priest does, but super fun to play. So guys, this is my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it for Season 1 for Mythic Plus. I thought it was a ton of fun to make this. I want to tell you guys my thoughts, where I think people, where they stand, even with the tuning. Let me know what you guys think. Am I wrong? Am I right? Where you think things should be? Let me know in the comments below. Even if you completely disagree with me, I want to know. So thank you guys so much for the support of the channel. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, peace.